Venezuela continues to strengthen national security within the framework of Plan Independencia 200. In the United States, a district judge temporarily suspended the deployment of troops in Chicago for 14 days. And thousands of Palestinians have returned to the Gaza Strip following the withdrawal of Israeli troops. Hello and welcome to From the South. Omar Marrero from the teleSUR headquarters in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. The Minister of Interior, Justice and Peace of Venezuela, Diosdado Cabello, led an operation to improve the 199 peace quarters in the state of Monagas. Within the framework of Plan Independencia 200, the Venezuelan minister accompanied regional authorities in reviewing the peace quarter on Saturday. Every defense structure under the direction of President Nicolás Maduro was examined. Furthermore, Diosdado Cabello declared that at least 199 Peace Corps members will be sent prepared to protect the citizens of Venezuela from any foreign threats. In this context, Venezuela Interior, Justice and Peace Minister Diosdado Cabello has denounced a media war from the United States being waged against the Venezuelan people.
As long as people keep calm, they'll keep going to work. Children will continue to go to the schools. Stores are kept open. We are under a constant attack in our minds, on the part of the imperialism, a relentless psychological warfare. If you go online, you'll see such statements as they have attacked the beaches in the streets of Junin, in Maturin. But anyone who knows Maturin knows there are no beaches in the streets of Junin, but such stuff gets to be written. And those who do not know that particular region might think it is actually happening. That kind of attack is perverse. So far, we have been able to face off such attacks with a calm spirit, with nerves of steel, and with a total mobilization of the people.
The Minister of Interior, Diosdado Cabello, reaffirmed the position of the Venezuelan people against imperialist threat in the context of activation of the directive bodies for integral defense in the state of Monagas.
The message is very clear to the enemies of the country, both inside and outside. Venezuela will continue to be impenetrable. They may eventually cause some damage in some place, but in the end the balance will be in favor of the Bolivarians. It will be in favor of the patriots, of the women and men who love this country, who have always been there willing to do what we have to do.
Venezuela denounced the threat of military attack by the United States before the United Nations Security Council. The permanent representative of Venezuela to the UN, Samuel Moncada, warned about the deployment of more than 10,000 troops and a nuclear submarine in the Caribbean Sea, accusing Washington of creating a false narrative to justify its aggression. The denunciation is part of Washington's ongoing campaign of harassment against the Venezuelan people. During his speech, the Venezuelan diplomat made an urgent appeal to the international community and the Security Council for the White House to immediately cease actions seeking to justify military intervention, respect international law and the sovereignty of Venezuela, and activate the mechanisms of diplomatic dialogue to prevent an armed conflict with unprecedented consequences.
President, what right does the United States have to militarize the Caribbean region? None. What right does the United States have to execute civilians that are entitled to the presumption of innocence and to due process? None. What right does the United States have to terrorize and deprive humble fishers from their livelihoods around the Caribbean region? None. The United States believes that the Caribbean belongs to it because for more than 100 years it has been applying the voracious Monroe Doctrine, which is no more than a relic of colonialism. Our region has had first-hand experience of US invasions. Throughout its 250-year history, the United States has only had 4 years of peace, and today it stands ready to set the Caribbean ablaze to uphold its ideology of endless war that its own people is rejecting.
Spanish journalist Ignacio Ramonet stated that the Nobel Prize fell into decline after awarding the Peace Prize to Venezuelan far-right opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who continues to pursue coup actions and seeks to destabilize the country. Through his Facebook account, Ramonet affirms and crosses of a noble granting the Peace Prize to someone who has not stopped calling for military intervention, coup d'etat, violent protests and war is yet another aberration of the current international disorder. It is the world turned upside down. It is making Orwell's dystopia in 1984 a reality where truth is lies and peace is war, Assad wrote a novel. Now let's take a look at the violent trajectory of Maria Corina Machado. In 2002, she signed the Carmona Decree, a document that supported the coup d'etat against Hugo Chavez. This trajectory of destabilization continued in 2014 when she promoted the La Salida plan that unleashed Tres Guarimbas. These acts of violence, which she defended in order to withdraw the government of President Nicolás Maduro, resulting in the tragic death of more than 43 people. Throughout 2017, Machado actively worked to impose sanctions and blockade against Venezuela. In 2019, she supported the illegal government of Juan Guaidó and called for a foreign intervention. In 2020, she signed an agreement with the Israeli Likud Party, which supported the genocide in the Gaza Strip. And after the 2024 presidential elections, terrorist groups known as Comanditos, Little Commands, led by Machado, killed 28 people and left injured nearly 200. In 2025, she has criticized opposition leaders for their abstinence agenda. She maintains links with drug trafficking networks and Colombian paramilitary groups to activate plans to create violence in Venezuela. In Colombia, people are commemorating a national day for the dignity of the victims of the genocide committed against a member of the Patriotic Union Party, whose members were persecuted and thousands killed. During on Saturday's event, members of the Patriotic Union Party paid tribute to party's supporters, either murdered or that disappear. Also, Colombian President Gustavo Petro proposed a tribute to the victims to be held at the upcoming summit of the Community of Latin American Caribbean States, with the European Union scheduled for November in the city of Santa Marta. Petro said the idea is to make those responsible for such genocide feel their actions are generally condemned, so as to make sure such acts will not be repeated in the future. Let's take a very short break, but don't go away. But remember that you can join us on our TikTok account as teleSUR English, where you'll be able to see news in different formats, news updates, and more. Stay tuned for more news. Welcome back to From the South. In the United States, a district judge temporarily suspended the deployment of troops in Chicago for 14 days. Judge April Perry's decision responds to her concern about possible escalation of confrontations in the city, given the presence of hundreds of National Guard troops. In her ruling, Perry said she had doubts about the reliability of the Trump administration and rejected the government's argument about not questioning the president. The China Media Group has introduced a project initiative to strengthen the Chinese brand in 2026. The initiative aims at leveraging global media strengthens for the company and brand and key milestones such as the start of the country's 15 years plan. The group said it will collaborate with partners from all sectors to promote consumption driven by the country's brands, to support rural revitalization, and to share China's history with the world. Beijing and Pyongyang reaffirms their historical friendship on the 75th anniversary of China's participation in the Korean War. Our colleague Bruno Fassi from Beijing provides us the details.
Greetings to your colleagues at teleSUR and to all our audience that's following us in this transmission. I'm in the Chinese capital now to inform you that the Premier Li Qiang, in a visit in North Korea, paid tribute to the martyrs of the Chinese People Volunteers Army in the Democratic People Republic of Korea, and the occasion of the 75th anniversary of China's participation in the War of Resistance against United States aggression and in defense of Korea. The ceremony honored hundreds of thousands of Chinese and Korean soldiers who lost their lives in a war that claimed more than 3 million lives and symbolized the resistance against United States imperialism in Asia. During this event, Li Qiang recalled that 75 years ago, the Chinese fighters crossed the Yalu River to fight alongside the Korean people for peace and sovereignty. He emphasized that the spirit of sacrifice and unity continues to inspire cooperation between the two socialist countries. The Premier also stated that under the leadership of the Communist Party of China, with Xi Jinping at its core, socialism with Chinese characteristics is advancing towards a new stage, strengthening its commitment to a more balanced and multipolar international order. The day concluded with a visit to the China-Korea Friendship Tower, a symbol of the bond sealed in blood more than 7 decades ago, which today remains a pillar of cooperation between the two nations. With this news, we go back to the studio in La Habana, Cuba.
Let's take a last break, but before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. For financial break, don't go away. Welcome back. Thousands of Palestinians have returned to the northern Gaza Strip following the withdrawal of the Israeli troops as part of the ceasefire agreement between Hamas and Israel. The Gaza population, marked by weeks of intense bombings and destructions, began its return through devastated areas towards the city of Gaza, the urban epicenter of the enclave. The ceasefire is part of the first phase of an initiative to end a 2-year war, and it includes the release of Israeli hostages within 72 hours. On Saturday, the genocidal Israeli occupying forces confirmed the arrival of 200 soldiers from the United States to Israel. The Pentagon has deployed its first group of soldiers while thousands of Palestinians continue their exhausting return to the destroyed Gaza and humanitarian aid still fails to arrive. The head of the U.S. Central Command, Admiral Brad Cooper, is coordinating the operation, whose state's objective is to set up a joint and comprehensive control center with Egyptian, Turkish, and possibly Emirati military personnel. In Pakistan, thousands of people mobilized to express their solidarity with the Palestinian cause. Throughout Saturday, citizens marched through the streets of the city of Lahore with banners and Palestinian flags to reaffirm their support for the families affected by the genocide in the Gaza Strip. However, it was reported that the police attacked protesters firing tear gas in an attempt to disperse the crowd, resulting in the arrest of over 100 people. In this regard, authorities also blocked the main roads to the Islamabad with containers and suspended mobile internet services in the capital and the adjacent city of Rawalpindi for the second consecutive day. Also in the United Kingdom, thousands of people took to the streets in London in solidarity with the Palestinian people and rejecting the continued trade relations with Israel. Protesters carrying the Palestinian flags in support of the Gaza Strip under the slogan Free Palestine. They also demand an end to the sale of British arms to Israel. The organizers urge participants to keep the demonstration peaceful and within the bounds of legality. In response to the demonstrations, the authorities increased police presence in various parts of the city, putting activists on rest. In Tunisia, hundreds of people protested on Friday in Gaza to demand the dismantling of a local phosphate proceeding plan after reports of respiratory distress among residents. The demonstrators called for the dismantling of the chemical group, shining slogans such as "We want to live" and Gaza is a victim of pollution and injustice.
What happened today on City Ibn Salam Beach is yet another disaster. We were waiting for presidential and political decisions to immediately stop all sources of pollution in Gibbs. September 27th was a disaster when 50 children were taken to Gibbs Regional Hospital suffering from asphyxia. 3 days earlier in Mitch, there were 3 cases of asphyxiation. Today, we were especially waiting for presidential decisions concerning pollution in Gibbs, but instead we are witnessing more cases of asphyxiation, with 8 more cases being transported to the regional hospital in Gibbs.
Now we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. You can also join us on our socials. We're on Facebook and X and on Instagram as well. For Telesur English and from the South, I'm Ana Marrero. Thank you for watching.